What is up here, YouTube? Jigsaw0097 here. Sorry, it's been quite a while since I made a review video. Since football's over, I figured this is what I'm going to kind of do in the off season. Just talk about video games and movies that I see that I like. But this game, guys, I was super pumped for. And you already saw, I have several videos on my channel already for like achievement guides, and then I have an unboxing. And that game is Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. I bought this for the Xbox One, as you can see. I've beaten it about 3 times now because it is a short game. But man, it's an amazing game, guys. I would definitely recommend playing it at some point. So I'm just going to kind of break down this. There's going to be spoilers in here, guys, just so you're aware. And I'll tell you when I'm about to talk about those, but I'm just going to kind of break down why this game is so good, what makes it Resident Evil. A lot of people have been looking at the game and saying, oh, it's first person, it's not Resident Evil, it's Outlast, it's Alien Isolation. It does have inspirations from several of those games, but this is Resident Evil at its core, guys. I mean, if you followed the franchise for as long as I have, like I've said in my unboxing video, I've been a Resident Evil fan since the first game, the director's cut on the PS1. So I've seen all the stuff they've done through Resident Evil 2, 3, Code Veronica, even like Outbreak, and then of course 4, 5, and 6 is what most people have played. And this is really just kind of a return to form. That's what I kind of like about Resident Evil, is every now and then when it starts to get stagnant, they reinvent it. That's what happened with 4. They were getting tired of the tank control formula, and so they reinvented it to be more of an action game. Well, after Resident Evil 6, we are getting kind of tired of the action, the over-the-top action role of Resident Evil. So now we're at this iteration, and like I said, this is really good. So yes, it is first person, guys, but don't let that fool you at all. This is Resident Evil to its core. It still has the puzzle solving. Even though the puzzles are kind of weak in my opinion, they're very basic and easy to figure out. They still definitely have that Resident Evil feel, though. I mean, you'll walk into like a room and you have to like rotate some paintings or something like that. There's these new shadow puzzles. You pick up these little like wood pieces, and like say it's like a bird or a spider, you have to make it. You have to like rotate the shape until it makes the spider. It's pretty cool, actually. But none of these are very difficult. So they have the puzzle stuff like that. The combat still feels very Resident Evil. That's another thing, is a lot of people thought you were not going to be using weapons at all in this game. They actually have quite a big focus, similar to Resident Evil 1. You get like your handgun, you get your shotgun, you get your grenade launcher, you get like those classic weapons. You can buy a Magnum if there's these coins throughout the game called antique coins. If you save up enough of those, you can get a Magnum, which is kind of like the Barry Burton Magnum from Resident Evil 1, you know. It's the gun that can just destroy everything in like 1 or 2 shots. So yeah, it's still very Resident Evil. The gunplay, the best way I could describe it for people that haven't played it is, the gunplay to me feels like they took elements from Resident Evil 1, like 1, 2, and 3, and then they took elements of 4, 5, and 6. Now I know that sounds weird, but let me explain that the gunplay kind of has like a clunkiness to it. So you definitely do feel like if you walk into a room with like 2 or 3 enemies, you can't just Call of Duty these enemies. I mean, you will get overwhelmed. It's kind of like you gotta pick your battles. I mean, you can run away from a lot of enemies too in this. That's very old school Resident Evil, where I don't have the bullets, I don't want to fight these enemies, I'm just gonna run past them. So you definitely have to plan how you attack. So it's got like a clunkiness to it, but then when you aim in, it is very precise with headshots and stuff like that. You can blow off their limbs, you can blow off their head. You know, that's very Resident Evil 4, 5, and 6, where you can target individual body parts with your aimer. The only one thing I wish that there actually was an option when you're aiming your guns to actually put a laser sight. That would have been a nice throwback in my opinion, but it's just like a dot, you know, it's like a reticle. But it works. So the gunplay is there, guys. It's not Outlast where you're just running the whole game. It's not Alien Isolation. You have to fight and kill a lot of enemies in this game, and there are boss battles. Like, there's all sorts of stuff going on in this. It is a very Resident Evil game, and that brings me to the second point. You're in a mansion the whole game. That is a complete throwback to Resident Evil. The fact that you're in this isolated area, this weird mansion. You gotta pick up keys, you gotta solve puzzles, you gotta backtrack, you gotta item manage too. That's a big one. Item management is back. You have to put stuff in the crate when you don't need it, pull it back out when you do need it. Be conservative on ammo, like I said. Healing items, the herbs are back. You mix them into this like healing salve. Not salve, it's like this healing liquid that you like pour all over your hands, and it kind of has like a regenerative ability. So there's that too. I mean, there's just so many things in the game, guys, that make this feel like Resident Evil. I mean, I'm surprised, honestly, because when I saw the trailer too, like, I was excited, but I was skeptical. I was thinking, like, what is this actually going to be? And it's amazing what they've done. It's almost like they've taken what worked with Resident Evil for the past 20 years, and then they've looked at new games like Outlast, like I said, Alien Isolation, Amnesia, like games that I already love. If you saw my review for Alien Isolation, I gave that my game of the year for 2014. But they've taken those and they've really kind of just implemented the new wave of horror into this old method, and it just works. I mean, having the first-person perspective, you don't even notice it after a while because it's just Resident Evil. You're just playing it, and eventually you're just like, this is Resident Evil. This is kind of what I wanted in the game, you know. And the Resident Evil doesn't take, the first-person mode doesn't take anything away from this fact. So any of you people thinking like it should be third-person, the first-person doesn't do anything. In fact, it adds a lot to the atmosphere and the tension you feel, because you can only see what's in front of you. You know, you can't go up to the side of a like a room and like use your third person camera to cheese it anymore. You gotta look right at it. And so yeah, that brings me to my final point before spoilers, and I'm probably gonna split this video up because this is going kind of long, but the Baker family is the main antagonist in this game, and it's not just like one or two, it's the entire family. They're out to kill you, and there's a reason why. It actually kind of makes sense in the lore. Like they said that this was going to tie in, and it does. I mean, it could have tied in better, but it definitely does tie in, and it makes you kind of excited for a next Resident Evil game, like Resident Evil 8 or whatever they do after that, DLC. They said they're going to do quite a bit of DLC for this game, which I'll go into in my second part of this video. But yeah, basically, the Bakers are the main antagonists. You start out with Jack just all over you, like everywhere you go in the house, he pops up, and you have to like kind of fight him off and run from him. Then after you get out of the house, you have to fight Marguerite Baker. And I'm not going to tell you anything right here yet. That'll be for the spoilers video. But finally you go to Lucas, and then you know, those are the three. It's Marguerite, Jack, and Lucas. Those are the three Bakers. And then there's a hidden character I don't want to tell you about in this non-spoiler review. So this will be part one, guys. I'm just going to give my final verdict on the game. I'll give the pluses is the gameplay is amazing. The gunplay is awesome. Like I said, the first person actually helps this game quite a bit. They nailed the Resident Evil horror feel again. The game is scary again. It is Resident Evil again. You'll definitely feel like you're playing that. And then the atmosphere is amazing. The graphics engine, I didn't even talk about that. The graphics engine is phenomenal, guys. It looks photorealistic. I mean, I couldn't believe how good it looked. And some cons, you know, I'll go over the cons kind of in my spoiler video because I'm going to have to spoil some things. But overall, I'm going to give this game a 9 out of 10. That's what I finally came up with, because there are some minor flaws, but it's really minor, and this overall package of a game is definitely worth your time, and it just stays so true to Resident Evil that you're thinking you can't possibly hate it for too much. And it's funny because the final crappy like Resident Evil movie just came out, but then we got this game. It's always been so funny to me throughout the past 15 years or however long that movie franchise has been going on, like how these crappy movies come out and then these games that are amazing come out, and people think the movies is Resident Evil, but they're not gamers, they've never even played the games. It just blows my mind. But that is the longest running video game film franchise as well. But anyway, guys, this will wrap up my non-spoiler review for Resident Evil 7. Check out my spoiler review. I'm going to be making that right now, so just stay tuned. And as always, guys, thank you so much for checking out my stuff. And this has been Jigsaw0097, and I'll talk to you guys later.